booties for black girl nerds.
Hi, Stephen. I have
Hi,
been
Jen.
I've been very looking forward to speaking with you about this film because it was very thought-provoking. It was very interesting, and I loved the variety of perspectives of how one gets to a normal day in their life to suffering from racial profiling, police brutality, imminent death. And it was just very interesting story approach. Before we dive into the actual parts of Tunde's journey during the film, what was your reaction to the script when you first had a chance to read through it?
My reaction to the script was first I had to gather myself because I am not separate from the story. Obviously, I exist in this planet and as a black man, and I. So first I had to gather myself, and then I had to, decide if I wanted to audition for it. And a lot of times I try to be careful with conscious of which stories about race or homophobia or any marginalized or oppressed groups, which ones I participate in. So I said, what did this film offer to the conversation? And for me, I think that people respond to different mediums of communication. Some people respond really well to documentaries, some people don't. Some people read books, a lot of people don't. Some people watch, some people respond really well to cinema, that's me. And so for me, I felt like this could be a cinematic representation of the structure of racism and bigotry and oppression and homophobia and all these things. You have a visual representation because what these groups go through is unreal. It's not, you can't put it into words because it's so overwhelming and so over the top that to me, the cinematic universe is the best way to show it, to show the physical structure, And so I wanted to add that tool to the conversation. Like, hey, here's a tool. Like, if you're having a hard time explaining something, ask them to watch this movie so you can actually see the structure.
Mm-hmm. What I really enjoyed was whenever there's a story about someone on a journey, trying to find themselves, living their truth, etc., the person of color is always so marginalized, whether it's sociologically, economically, as they work through that in addition to journeying in their trying to find their truth. In this case, Tunde was very privileged, very affluent, a nuclear-ish family, advantages. So even with all those other preconceived notions stripped away, he finds himself susceptible to the same things, no matter your economic status or anything at all. Was telling it from that approach a big selling point for you, or what are your thoughts on someone in that situation experiencing what so many do every day?
100% it was. And I forgot, I got to shout him out because that's my boy. But Stanley, the other thing that sold me on participating is that a 19-year-old wrote it, Stanley Kalu, who's a brilliant mind. It was exciting, like blown away that a 19-year-old wrote this, and half heartbreaking that he is aware of this so nuanced and in such a way. But back to your question, yeah, that was very important because I think the things that people miss when they have these conversations are that bigotry is like a virus. It's like coronavirus. Bigotry does not come innate to any person or any group. Just because you're black, you don't understand racism. Just because you're gay, you don't understand homophobia. Throughout your life, experiences may mold you in a way for you to start to understand it better. But homophobia and racism are outside of the human body the way a virus is. And so it can come on top of anybody. It can the way coronavirus affects everyone, so does racism, so does homophobia. You can be a billionaire and still die from coronavirus. You can be, on the front lines and the same thing can happen. And it's the same thing with racism and homophobia and any type of bigotry. It's a virus, which is why it's in the best interest of everyone, including those who benefit the most from it, to dismantle it.
Absolutely. The tension between Tunde and Marley and Soren it's interesting. It's almost like a hive in a sense that although they're all operating separately, they all almost their purposes or their destinies are so closely tied to each other before Tunde's ultimate demise. What type of conversations did you all have amongst each other when you would head in to shooting? Did you have like a huddle up, or how did you all approach a lot of these scenes? Because they're very intimate, and as a viewer, it's really like you're leaning in as a voyeur, listening to some very, very special conversations between the three of them.
Yeah, I think that it's always a pleasure when the people you work with you actually like and get along with them. So that was the first thing, is that they were good people. And so through that, you build trust and you build confidence in each other, which allows you to be, like any relationship, the basis is trust. And so we were able to have conversations outside of work. We would, meet up, like Spencer and I, we met up he loves coffee. So we met up for coffee, we would play basketball, you know what I mean? We really got to bond. Nicola and I would, at the time we filmed it, we lived like 5 minutes walking distance from each other. So I was able to meet up with her, that a walk away. But it was all about building trust, like any relationship.
With Tunde, would you say that Tunde, what's your impression of his privilege outside of his skin tone compared to, say, like Soren? Although Soren has the benefit of white privilege because he's a white male, his underlying life is very different. He does have a nuclear family. There is some broken things, and just his parents, who his parents are. How would you weigh their privilege against each other if you stripped away the skin?
If you stripped away the skin, the privilege is that that's a great question.
Because they have, when you look at them, if you take that away, Tunde has a lot of privilege, obviously, because what if his parents have afforded him in his life. And Soren, on the other hand, has the potential to be very great as he's an athlete and he's trying to live in that truth. Are they so different? Are they both privileged, or how would you say they are like yin, are they yin and yang, or how would you evaluate them?
Well, I think that speaks to the human condition. I think that when you do start stripping away like skin color and sexuality and all these things, at our basis, we are very similar. We're much more the same than we are different. So yeah, they do exist. Pretty much, they are kind of reflections of each other. And I think that's why the movie is impactful to the conversation of bigotry, because a simple addition, a simple drop of a skin color, a simple drop of sexuality changes the entire dynamic of a life. But at their core, like you're saying, if you strip those things away, they're kind of images, mirrors of each other.
Mm-hmm. This film and its approach is really beautiful in that it's like a map, and you see like a little bit, then you pull the map out and you get to see a little bit more. So that using that kind of vehicle to replay those instances over were very good for me as an audience member, because it allowed me to catch some other perspectives. When you had a chance to watch the full thing back, what struck you most about seeing yourself on screen, or do you even like to watch yourself back once the project is done?
Well, it's so funny you said that, because I'm still catching things to this day. Like I'll be walking to the bathroom at midnight, you know what I mean, and in a sleepy haze, be like, oh my God, that's what that means that, you know. So I'm still catching little things about the film. But when I first watched it, it took me a minute, because I can be a bit of a perfectionist. Like I see every flaw, but that's okay. Once I digested that and I watched the film, what I took from it was how it really spoke to how universally connected we are. You know, The biggest mistake you can make is to be apathetic to the sun because it's light years away. Just because it's light years away, it's probably the one of the most integral parts of survival. So that's how I feel like this. That's what I feel like this film did, is show that, like, you may not be LGBTQ, you may not be Black, but the biggest mistake to make is to be apathetic towards those things, because your success depends on their success. You don't know, you don't know what, you don't know who has the cure for cancer. The cure for cancer could be in the brain of a Black person. The cure for HIV could be in the brain of a gay person. The cure for any disease could be in any of these brains. So we as a group, as a human species, should be working to dismantle these things and make life as easy as possible for everybody, so that we can get to those gems. We have things to discover. This is such a roadblock on humanity's journey to success. We could be such a great, species if we could find so many great gems if we could let people live.
Absolutely. Well, Stephen, I thank you so much. I really enjoyed the film. It was super duper thought provoking. I like the perspectives, terrific performances. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
You too.
Better shake your booties for Black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for Black girl nerves.